Hi and welcome to GunnersHub. I'm so excited about this one. I have Harry with me, big West Ham fan to the bone, through and through. He couldn't get any more West Ham if he could. So yeah, that's that's
People
how.
would argue that.
No, honestly, it's nice to have you on. So I really appreciate you coming on. So let's go into it. A few topics I want to talk about. Obviously, the first one, Declan Rice, the 105 million. Oh, look.
Still my hero.
See, that's it. That's how much he was valued at the West Ham club. Now, Harry, obviously, if it was me, I would be gutted and I'd be absolutely, I'd be distraught. But how do you and West Ham fans feel about that he's now gone and it's done and he's come to Arsenal? How do you feel on that?
Firstly, thanks for having me. It's nice to be here. I've been telling you all week how nervous it is, but the whole thing with Rice, I think. Do you know what? I actually think West Ham fans are probably split in it. I'd say myself. I think we all knew it was inevitable, and I think you've got a world-class player, and how young he is. He's younger than me, like as well. I think you've got one of the best players who will be the best midfielder in the world. Joining your club for 105 million, which is a steal. I'm gutted, but then he went out in a blade of glory with us. Lifting a European trophy. No one's done that since Bobby Moore with us. So he's legendary status. The only thing is, I think that made some other West Ham fans annoyed is the fact he was so he said he was leaving to win trophies. And I'm not saying you don't win trophies, but I think between Arsenal and City, I think a lot of people are like, well, why hasn't he gone to City? And I think as well that our owners, with the tension of not signing anyone, obviously when he first signed it, we were all really on edge and really annoyed about that, because in theory, I think we spent the Rice money last season.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. Spent the Rice money last season, so I think we just thought we're not going to sign anyone. We're going to do exactly what Leicester did last year.
Yeah.
They didn't really sign anyone till late, and we would struggle. But we've brought in a few signings, so yeah, I think it hurt to see him singing North London Forever.
Absolutely.
Because he knew the camera was there as well. He knew it was there.
Yeah, he knew. Well, I know if it was me and I lost someone like Declan Rice, like you said, I'd be, it does hurt, especially valued so much at that club. He's a big part of West Ham.
Well, the thing was, he left Chelsea, and we gave him a chance in the youth team. We signed him for our youth academy, and then we kind of created him into the player he is now. I'd say we're through development. I remember seeing him at the local teams in a youth. Is it the Premier League 2? I remember seeing him there, and he was by far the best player on the pitch. And the thing is with Rice is, we all knew it was going to happen. We all knew he was leaving. So I don't think it was as toxic as it would have been if he kind of longed it out. But then also the Conference League final, he said, "I'm the West Ham captain. I love it here," and it was almost a bit of a tease, because obviously Mark Noble stayed for his whole career, and we were hoping, but obviously he's got to win trophies. He has got to climb, and he's not going to do that with us.
Well, I mean, you've got some good players in West Ham. You've got Bowen, you've got Paqueta. You've got good players. It's not to say is West Ham are not going to be competitive, because they are going. They won the Europa League, so they're on the up. They've got good players.
This is the thing. Winning the Conference League. I mean, I managed to get it off work last minute, and I remember I jumped across Europe to get there, and I had 8 hours in Norway and 4 hours in Finland just to get to Prague. And I had a ticket. I was right behind a goal. I think there's on the YouTube video of the highlights. I'm actually there after Sushik missed a header doing that.
Yeah,
it's disbelief. But that was, again, like I said, the fear was we weren't signing anyone. But now we've got Ward Prowse in, who everyone knows he's going to be a set piece specialist. The rumour is today, from the 18th of August, is apparently the Paqueta deal is 90% off, which is a great news for us. That's because 100%. Because if you think about, he threaded the ball through to Bowen and gave probably the best day of my life.
Absolutely. So big threat. He's going to be a big threat to opposition. And when I saw there was a few reports this morning, I thought, well, that's good news for West Ham. Even better for Arsenal.
Yeah, you go. We all know the nature of football, and you look at teams like Brighton, where their best players, like Caicedo and I think Cucurella last season, Sanchez, they're almost like a feeder club. It was a bit like Southampton a few years ago.
Yeah.
And how can you, as a player, turn down Man City, Arsenal, who I still think obviously a big topic of discussion, but are a big six club through a lot of their history. Teams like Man United, even though they're in a bit of a disarray, I think they're becoming a better run side. You can't force a player to stay. If you look at all these stuff happening in teams like Leeds and I think it was Caicedo and Lavia of Southampton, they all said they wanted to leave. And I think you're not going to get 100% from a player if you turn around and go, no, you're staying, you're under contract, you're going to play, and they're not going to try their hardest.
No, they're not. They're not going to give you 100% week in, week out. They're going to be miserable. They're going to be, they're not going to be wanting to give 100% each time, and that's what they need. That's what they need. So, are you happy with the transfer so far? Are you happy with what do you think? Are you satisfied as a West Ham fan to say, look, I'm happy with the transfer market. I'm glad the business we've done. I'm ready to start the Premier League. Are you satisfied as a fan? Because losing prices, I'd say you can't replace somebody like that.
He's irreplaceable, in my opinion. And Alvarez, the Mexican from Ajax we signed, I don't know enough about him, and I'm sure you'll agree with me with this. But we West Ham fans can traditionally be a fickle bunch, and we're never optimistic. I always say to the people I go to the games with, I always say I went, because some of them are younger than me, and they've only really known us, through glory, playing well, signing some great players. Dimitri Payet. I think Tevez is still before their time, really, but Dimitri Payet scoring absolute worldy free kicks and us actually progressing. And, it was always how many teams are worse than us for us to stay up.
Yeah.
But their hindsight is, we should be pushing for Europe. But in reality, in my lifetime, I've seen us relegated twice. I've seen us in a 2006 FA Cup final against Liverpool, which I still hate Steven Gerrard for. Every year it was us battling for relegation. And, with any new player, all I want is someone who tries. And I can't say I'm happy with our transfer, because I think the pressure from the fans has kind of pushed them. But then some of the rumours I'm hearing today of like Mohamed Kudus from Ajax again. Yeah. He'd be a great player if he plays out on the left-hand side. But I like Ben Rama because he takes on a player. But again, I don't know much about these Ajax players. But I feel like as long as they give 100%, the West Ham fans are going to back them. But we need a striker. Let Antonio go, because there's rumours he's not happy at the club. Danny Ings, he needs a striker partner with him. But the problem is we don't play two up top. So I'd like a striker who can hold at the ball. And I hate to say it, Ivan Toney would have been perfect, but I think a lot of big clubs would have come sniffing anyway. But I think obviously with his ban, I think it was a bit out of the question. But letting Scamacca go was that annoyed me.
Yeah, I think you should have held on to him, really. Especially if Antonio does leave and he is unhappy and wants to. But he's a very good player. Very.
He is. He runs hard. We had a player called Carlton Cole, who they're different build of players. Antonio's a lot more muscular and a lot shorter. I think only just. But Carlton Cole was quite skinny. But on the ball, you never knew what they were going to do, and there was a bit of magic when Carlton Cole used to get the ball, he used to take it down, and it'd be the best touch in the world, and all of a sudden it'd come off his foot and go out for a throw in. It's the same with Antonio. He'll pull out all this skill, beat 4 players, and then the easiest job to pass in, he'll pass it straight back to the keeper. Like, it's just a weird concept of a footballer. But you can't, he's our top goal scorer at the club, and you can't fault him for. I remember when under Slaven Bilic, he was right back. He went from winger to right back and played full back for a lot of the season, and then he put him up front, and then he's played everywhere for us, other than I think in goal.
Yeah.
Which, but I don't know. I'm happy that we're signing people. James Ward-Prowse, I think, is a great signing for us, but he's not a Rice replacement. Doesn't do the job Rice does at midfield. But as I said to you, Rice is irreplaceable, and I don't know. I don't know. We need a couple of fullbacks, and I'll be happy. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think Declan Rice was he's just quality, so good. No, I think no matter who you bring in to West Ham, that he's always going to be compared to the players, and that it's a hard one, really. Because if Rice wasn't that good, nobody would be comparing him. When you get transfers and when you see these players coming in, you'd be like, okay, he's a good player. But because Rice was so top quality and he's very consistent, you're always going to compare him to another player that comes in. Declan Rice, every match, minimum 7 out of 10. Each game was even a 10 out of 10 sometimes. There's not a drop off, even when he has a bad game. 7 out of 7s, and when he does have a good game, it's not 10 out of 10, it's 12 out of 10. He's just quality. So I do hear you. Alvarez from Ajax, I do think you're getting a good player, because we bought Jurriën Timber from Ajax, a defender, and Ajax play very similar to Arsenal. So I do think, you've got a good sign in there.
It's a shame about Timber's injury.
Oh,
it's killer, that is, especially because I thought he looked very good against Forest. I mean, he tried to carry on, which I think players always will, but he looked quality.
Absolutely. He has quality.
What did you think of Rice when you see him play? If you watch pre-season or against Forest,
I'd say Timber is the one that's fitting the quickest.
Right.
Declan Rice is going to take him time to it's going to take him time to get into the team and be comfortable. But I see the qualities there. Every game is an improvement. He can reach the ceiling very quickly, especially with the players around him in the team.
Massively. I think it's a step up where he's not played with, let's say, 10 other players who can read a game as well as he can. And what I loved about your midfield, you had Odegaard, Rice, I can't think of the other one, gone blank. But they were constantly rotating round. So if one went forward, the other one would sit. If Rice went forward, he'd go out wide. And it seems that. Sorry. He was at the back there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I've completely gone blank about the midfielder, but I think what you need to do as Arsenal fans, he thrives on, support. You can see him on a football pitch. If it's not going away, he gets so frustrated. He used to annoy West Ham fans a lot as well, because you'd always see him get really frustrated with those around him and himself, because he just wants to win. That's what he wants to do, just win every single game. And the passion he brings to the game, your Arsenal fans have got to get on his support him. I don't think he needs to get on his back so early. I've seen some people on X, I should call it now, seen people getting on his back about the game, saying he disappeared and didn't play. But there's things he does off the ball that you don't see. He closes channels where Forest couldn't go through in the middle. Because I think if you look at the Forest game, they went down the wings. They exploited your fullbacks, and Rice was always cutting those channels and making the forward runs, creating space. And he's going to be on the ball less. And I think it'll take him time to realise that as well, where most things aren't going to go through him. He'll be part of some moves, but he's not the main man anymore, if that makes sense. But I do think he will be Arsenal captain within maybe next year after. because he is a leader. He is a leader.
He
He's going to
is-
be the captain as
He
well.
is a leader. He is a leader. Martin Odegaard at the minute is our captain, and he's just quality as well. He's a leader. So, but you really think Declan Rice is going to become captain?
100%. I think Odegaard's a quality player, but I think I don't see Odegaard as a leader on the pitch. But then again, I don't watch much Arsenal, so I don't see him leading that midfield. Whereas Rice, you'll see him. For example, when we played last season, you'll see him going over to players. If we've just scored, if we've conceded, he'll rile them up and he'll lead by example. And I think he does that well. I think he'll be England captain as well with him.
Yeah,
Because I can't see Maguire staying there, especially after rejecting us after that messy deal. But he's just a leader, and he's one that people look up to because he's a tall lad and all that people don't realise is how tall Declan Rice is. But people look up to him, and I would if he walked in here now and I don't know, and told me to rearrange the house, and I'd believe in his vision because that's the way he comes across. If that makes any sense, but I'd be inspired to follow him because he just looks like a leader. Whereas Odegaard, quality player, not denying that. Quality when he was younger, like he had some big moves. Obviously, I think he was at Madrid for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, Madrid.
So I am biased, so but we'll see.
I don't know why Declan Rice is not England captain already. Gareth
Southgate loves Maguire, though, doesn't he?
He does. He really does, and he respects him as well. And he was getting a lot of abuse, Harry Maguire, not so long ago, and I think Gareth has a connection with Harry Maguire. He respects him. He's very humble. You don't see him online, effing and showing any downness, if that makes sense. He holds his own. He's very humble. He takes it and then he just carries on playing football.
Yeah, you say that though. If you look at so we were linked with him. I'd love him at West Ham because I think he'd do a great job because we wouldn't expect him to play with his feet, which I think is one of his weaker parts of his game. But I think rumour was it that we were going to pay X amount, United were going to pay X amount, pay off his contracts, but he's refusing to leave because he wants to keep the money because he's going to make more money by staying.
Yeah.
And I think, I think he wants to prove himself to Man United, and as hard as it is for me to say, I think going from Man United to West Ham is a step down. But then we're in the Europa League still, so it's. I think no one's bigger than the club, and he's already assuming he's bigger than the club.
So. Yeah, no, I hear that as well, definitely. But you do need to hopefully get a few more signings in. Do you think your manager will stay? Do you think his job is on the line? What do you think about your manager?
Moyes is I think been under pressure for a lot of this season. I think making a few signings. I mean, a draw against Bournemouth, we scored and we just sat back, which is the old West Ham, which I don't like seeing. A few years we've been continuing to attack teams, but we just seem to score and then just feel like, 1-0's all right. The hardest score than 1-0 is 2-0. So I've never trusted West Ham to defend a lead ever. So I could put my house that we'd probably end up conceding, but I don't like our negative mentality at the start. But then we rarely start seasons well. So we'll see against Chelsea. I think that'll be a big test. They're 22. Well, not 22. I think it's down. I think it's 8 this season. 8 new players. I can't believe they get away with it though, because surely financial fair play comes into it. But.
Well, yeah, I think that's why they. I can't remember the player now that they were going in for, but they had to pull away because of financial fair.
That's why they offer 9-year contracts as well. Though, so
they're clever, very clever, but I don't think they'll get away with it for long.
Yeah.
When Arsenal played West Ham, you certainly made it very hard for us. But I think the Chelsea game will be a good test just to see where the players are.
100%. And I think the new signings, if they come in, I think it'll be a good test for them. I can see Ward-Prowse coming in and starting over Pablo Fornals. So
I think and Alvarez, I just think get them in, see how it is, or bring them on and say 60th minute Alvarez and then, switch up a bit. Because West Ham do, they go 1-0 up and think, oh, well, we've got the goal, let's just chill out for a minute.
Yeah.
They just need to see the games out. If they see the games out, they've got no problems, going forward.
You must be hurting from last season, though, from, what's it, some would say it was the start of your title collapse, wasn't it? Don't want to say it was us, but...
Do you know what? I'm still hurting. That's it's a big loss to take, really.
We always give you a hard game, though, and the best fact I can give you is, and it's pretty obvious who it is, but do you know who the last team to win at Highbury was and the first team to win at the Emirates was?
Come on, jog my memory.
It was West Ham United. So, we've always had a good bit of interesting...
Haven't there?
What's that, sorry?
Bit of tension there.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is, I think we've been not similar clubs, but I think London derbies are always fun with us. We always seem to pull it out against any London club. Obviously, we've got Tottenham, we have Chelsea. We always turn up. We always used to turn up in them games, even when we were bottom of the table or bottom half of the table. I remember the season when Moyes came in and saved us. We had to get a result against, I think it was Tottenham, Chelsea, United and City. Yeah, I don't think it was City, one of them. But we ended up getting a result at all of them. So, I think under pressure we do play better. But that's where players like Rice step up and say, look, I think Noble was still playing at that time too. And Noble always says he tried to kind of influence Rice and his footballing brain and leadership brain. And I think that shows. And I think you'll see it at Arsenal,
Yeah, I'm really excited with the Declan Rice signing. For me, it's the signing of the year for me. Obviously, I'm going to say that, but because I've loved Declan Rice for years. Honestly, he's a top player, even off the pitch. His character, how he is a professional person.
Should have scored at the weekend and all. He hit the post twice, didn't he?
I was hoping that he scored. I was really betting on it. I thought, this is the game. I thought, hey.
That's one thing of his game that you won't realise is he can pick a ball up on the edge of the box and he'll have a shot and it nearly almost on target.
Yeah.
And always makes the keeper work. I mean, he scored against Southampton last year when we were out of nowhere. Yeah. And I remember the year before was it Leon?
Yeah.
He got an absolute screamer. Keeper probably should have done better, but
good goal though.
But yeah, and he's got a hell of a strike on him. But don't let him take corners because he seems to towards the end of his West Ham career start taking corners, and I think he's like 6'5", so he's 6'4", I think. But
still definitely hurting with the title. A lot of people would use the word bottle it, but
you can't say bottle when your other North London rivals are bigger bottlers than you. So.
Yeah, there you go. That just answers it. Do you think we bottled it?
No, genuinely,
it's a hard.
It pains me to say because I thought City ain't no mugs, and they were always there. They always kept it within touching distance.
Yeah.
They were just often. I thought the pressure will get to Arsenal, and I think what let you down was actually your squad depth. I think players started tiring a bit, and I mean, you got out of Europe very quickly, which I was more surprised at. But I think you went all guns blazing in the league because it was so out of nowhere. And I think obviously winning the Prem is a huge deal. But I wouldn't say bottle. I'd say you ran out of steam. And I think what I love, my good mate of mine lives across the road. He's a big Arsenal fan, and we always talk about it. When Arteta first came in, he struggled. It was always Arteta out for a long time.
Yeah.
But me and him saw what he was building, and I think when you've worked under Pep Guardiola for so long, like he did at City, it's going to rub off, and he's got a winner's mentality. I think he's built his vision, and I like how your owners gave him time. And clearly this year they're giving him the money because they can see his vision and can see it on a football pitch. Don't get me wrong, against Forest towards the end you did look a bit shaky, but I think it's because you were getting flashbacks of last season, but in reality, he calms it down, and he gets on, and you always seem to grind out results, which is what you were doing last year. And I think towards the end, one question I've got to ask, I'm confused what you've done. I don't know why you've signed David Raya. I don't know why you've signed him, because that's 2 number 1 goalkeepers you've got there, and that's going to create tension. Because Ramsdale is I've always liked Ramsdale for years. I always said I think he'll play for a big team in the end.
Yeah.
Like, I remember him at Bournemouth and Sheffield United. He used to pull out some great saves. And the thing is with David Raya, again, one of my best mates is a Brentford fan. David Raya was probably, in my opinion, the best goalkeeper last season. People argue Pope, but I think what Raya did at Brentford was what he did. His distribution is phenomenal. With his feet, he's brilliant, and he pulls out great saves. And that's going to push Ramsdale. You can't have 2 number 1s in the club, because I think your old goalkeeping coach was the old Brentford one.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So apparently he must be going there knowing he's going to get. He's been offered the number 1 spot, surely.
Yeah. Because, I was a bit like, why have you signed a goalkeeper? But I was listening to Arteta's press conference. Was it yesterday or the day before? He said he wants quality. He wants quality in every position. For example, like Jesus, the drop off huge. Timber, the drop off's huge. He's come in and made an impact so quickly.
Yeah.
Saying something like, nobody's position is safe.
Yeah.
I want that tension. I want you to be fighting every training session, every match. No one is number 1. That's what he said. Nobody is number 1. So
I think Ramsdale will thrive on that pressure, because if you look at his time, he's always got something to prove.
He does, yeah.
So and I hadn't heard that he said that, but it makes sense. But still, in my opinion, I know you sort of got rid of Turner, who I thought looked all right for Forest.
Good, yeah.
But when you got getting Raya in, I thought it was almost a dig at Tottenham because they couldn't agree a fee.
Yeah.
But you lot kind of pitch into it. But I don't know. I'm a goalkeeper myself, and I find it's one position on the football pitch. It's not like a defender where they can probably slot in at fullback or do a job at centre half.
Yeah.
It is a very pressured. I feel like Raya is, like I said, he's in the form of his life at the moment, and Ramsdale, can't say he's in the form of his life. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. And another thing I want to mention as well, the Arteta, he winds me up on that touchline. How he gets away running up that, it infuriates me.
Do you know what? I don't agree. I like the passion.
There's passion, but then there's taking the Michael.
Yeah, and I hear it sometimes. Yes, okay. I think I'll calm down, Arteta. It's only 5 minutes in, but he's so passionate, and a lot of decisions that go against us are just beyond me. I think.
Last season, like I said, mate across the road, I was talking to him about how some of the refereeing decisions against you. You're in the same boat as West Ham United, unfortunately, with that sense. We never seem to get the rubber to green with referees.
That's it, and I think that Arteta's just. That's the only way he can express. Like, come on, look, that's the only way he can express it.
But with the new yellow card rule, I think he's going to get a few fines.
Yeah, he needs to think that. I think when he got a yellow that game, I think he will, calm down a little bit. But I do like the passion. Same with Jurgen Klopp. It's up and down. I love the passion for managers, and it just goes to show the league is now so competitive. I just love the passion. So good to see that they just care and they want to protect their players. For example, like Saka, he was getting kicked left, right, and centre last season. Where's the protection? The refs need to, if the refs want managers to be humble and calm down and be respectful on the pitch, the refs need to do their job properly. Right, implementing these rules, but if you're not going to do it properly, the managers are going to kick a first. The players are going to start kicking a first.
Look at Man United the other night. That Onana, he wasn't even looking at the ball. He was looking at the players. They've come out and apologised for that. I guarantee, if that was Arsenal, penalty.
You cheeky. No, but honestly, that decision, I was so shocked. I had to go back again, maybe a few times, and I thought, What was he look? What was the ref looking at?
Well, the thing is, right? He's come out and claimed massively,
Yeah.
like starfish. But if he was looking at the ball and going for the ball, like I said, as a goalkeeper, fine. Very controversial for, I'm sure people in the comments will be raging at me, but especially goalkeepers. But goalkeepers get far too much protection. You go down in a corner screaming, free kick to the other way. But the way Onana come out, he didn't even go for the ball.
No.
He just starfished and was looking at the two players. I think one of them was Craig Dawson, and he absolutely clattered into him. And, you know, nothing. And the fact that the FA have already, one game in, well, first game of the season for everyone, first game of the season, I've got to come out and apologise already. And I actually thought the refereeing this year has been a lot better. The game's flow, they've realised it's a physical game again, which is great. But the consistency, I watched the Brentford game against Tottenham. And James Maddison got booked for mouthing off to the ref, which is now straight away a yellow card.
Yeah.
But then he did it 10 more times. And the problem is the refs don't want to be... But sending Maddison off would have been huge for would have been huge for the whole game, the game as a whole. But I think refs also in their head, they're like, I don't want to be the first one to do it. 2 yellow cards for dissent. No, I can't do it. Yeah. You know, and you know, if you look at lower league, I play on Saturdays, and if you abuse the ref in any way, you get a 10-minute sin bin, which is probably ridiculous in the Prem. But then thinking more about it, is it? I don't think so, because I think 10 minutes, then you're not sending the player off. You can book them, and you send them off for 10 minutes on the sin bin. The team's down for 10 minutes, but that player's got to come back, reset, get back into the game. I think
that's a good point. I think that would work really well in the Premier League. Whether they ever do that, God only knows.
Definitely not.
Because it doesn't benefit them in any way.
No, and the problem is you've got the ref union as well. It's like, if you look at the Women's World Cup, I've actually enjoyed where when they've gone to VAR, they've had to then open mic it and say what their decision is. Okay, the whole point of that was to describe what they're thinking and why they've made that decision. Yeah. However, I think some of them have just gone offside because number 14 was offside. Well, that's not explaining your decision. If you say, their shins over the line, you know, I think yes, it's stop-start, and it gets very American in that sense of like the NFL.
Definitely.
You know, so it gets very. That's the difficult, because especially with these minutes added on now, you know, every minute counts, and by the end of the game, you've got 10 minutes to go.
Craziness. What do you think to the extra time added on? Do you think that's bizarre? Do you think it's going to work?
I think what was the stat? 66 minutes was the average game last year. Right. My season ticket works out about, I think it's like 48 quid per home game. Right. That's not including cups or anything.
Yeah.
So, which, you know, getting the train down, having a few soft drinks, you know, it for 66 minutes of the football, it's not great. But then, you know, places, if you say West Ham have got Newcastle away on a Tuesday night, right, and the last train is at set time,
yeah,
you know, but I think that it's a very extreme, you know, example that. But I think it's better because fans have got to get their money's worth, because football's expensive. Football's expensive these days, and I think, and I think it's a good idea, but I think it gets. Although thinking about it like right this moment, I think it encourages players not to time waste by celebrating. You know, if you look at this weekend, they scored, they'd celebrate, grab the ball, go back, go again.
Yeah,
and players are aware of it. The players are aware of injuries. They're like, no, I'm okay. I don't need treatment. You know, it goes back to that game of it's a physical sport. Of an elbow goes in or like a shoulder barge, player goes down, ref says play on. When it's a physical game, you know, it's better in that sense. But I think it's going to take time. You know, we're only one game in.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of time. I think it will take a toll on the football players' health, really, physically, a lot of fatigue. I think it's going to be hard.
Yeah, but I think that's where, you know, you've got Premier League clubs who spend X amount of millions on sports science and stuff and recovery. And I keep seeing these ice baths that people use late in the season. I think I mean I wouldn't want to try. I've done a cold plunge myself, and it's killer. But I think that they've got the facilities to do it. So I think with investment in the game as well, there's ridiculous amounts of money being spent on players. So they should be able to play a whole season. They know what they're signing up for.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Hopefully, all these new rules won't, have an impact on the play. And the beauty of the game, football's changing every year. All these and that. Football's not the same as it used to be. So
I think there has been improvements though. You look at the way the game is now.
Yeah,
there is more protection, but I also think there's some benefits to a lot of the stuff, but there's also some negatives. Like there's some decisions, like this handball rule. If the player's 1 yard away, but if my hand's out here, you can't see my hand, but say my hand's up here, it's an unnatural position. I don't know about you, but whenever I jump, I do that and pull away. That's a natural position, but they say it's unnatural. And the fact that anything here, but they seem to do it from here, it's not handball.
Yeah.
But for me, that's always been handball. Your shoulders quite easily here, and your sleeve's not. You're still your arm. But it's these nitty gritty decisions that really that frustrates the fans. When you're there in the stadium, you can't see what they're looking at on a telly. You see what they're looking at. They're seeing how close it is and stuff. And I think one of the best things they should do, again, very American, very controversial, but they should put it on the big screen when they're reviewing it.
Definitely, so we can get an insight of what they're doing, what decisions they're going to be making. Absolutely. Where do you think your predictions for this season? Where do you think you're going to be top 6 or where?
I can dream. Yeah. I can dream. I'd love to go for a trophy again. I'd love to go for the FA Cup or something. Or I think we'll struggle this year. Like I said to you, we're a fickle bunch. We're not very optimistic fans as it is. We're most annoying fans, I'm sure, by most on Twitter. X. And I'm sure I think we'll finish bottom half, but I'm hoping for 10th, 11th, 12th. So 10th top half, but 10th, 11th, 12th I'll be happy with. And then do you know what? I'd love us to go for the Europa League, but it's a lot of good teams in that competition.
Yeah, a lot of good teams.
It'll be teams from the Champions League coming down, which we I'd love us to say we can compete with those teams, but I don't know. But the FA Cup and League Cup, I'd love to see some trophy-wear, and if it's another season of Tottenham winning nothing, even better. Even
better for me. I agree with you on that. That's definitely something I'm going to agree with you on. Definitely. Just lastly, your thoughts. Where do you think us? Do you think us, Arsenal, City? What's your say? Or do you think Arsenal are going to do it? City are going to do it? What do you think is going to happen this year with Arsenal and City?
I think you'll be competing for the title again, both of you. However, I think City, De Bruyne for 4 months out is a big loss for them. But problem is, they're now bringing a lot of these youth players in who look quality. Look, Palmer against Seville, his goal was a decent header, I think it was. But I think City still have that quality, and they're hungry. I think that's how Pep Guardiola keeps them hungry when they've won everything. I don't know how he does it, but Arsenal, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't be competing. Timber out for a lot of the season is going to be rough, especially with is it Gabriel? Gabriel's got a little bit of a knock as well.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see how you progress. I think you've got to go for it in the trophies again. I don't think you can have another trophyless season.
Yeah.
After last year, you did so well, but people always say, "Oh, you've got nothing to show for it," which I don't think you need something to show for it. But I think second year in, I think
need to compete.
Yeah,
pressure is on, big time. Pressure is on, especially with the signings now. People will look at and think, well, you've got all these signings, you spent so much millions. What have you got to show for it?
You took City to the edge last year. Why can't you do it again? only team in a long time who've pushed City,
Yeah,
and it's good because it makes the Premier League exciting. I thought last year was one of the best seasons, and
yeah,
I think this year is going to be even more interesting because I thought
absolutely.
Burnley looked decent.
Very
Um,
good.
Luton Town will be an interesting one to see, but I think you've got Brighton, Villa. I think as awful as it is for Mings' his injury, I don't think they know what extent it is yet. But if I think it's a blessing in disguise, which is horrible to say. But Brighton just look different. You know, De Zerbi just is what he's done, and the attitude he has to the players is great. Like Caicedo is like, well, he's never playing for me again. So,
Yeah,
and he pushed him. I think Liverpool are going to struggle. So I think there's no reason why you can't push because you and City are the only teams who don't seem to be struggling. I thought Man United looked awful the other night.
Wolf.
So I think you and City should be clean sweeping
Yeah,
everything.
definitely.
But
The tail end of the season matters the most, and I think that's where we fell off. And I think also that's Arteta's. He's thought ahead of bringing in David Raya because Ramsdale was very scatty towards the end of the season.
yeah,
It was all over the place. I think the pressure was getting to him. So I think that's more of a tail end of the season when it matters. Bring in, just get that. Just you've got the quality, and I think in that aspect of thinking about it, that's very smart because it's the tail end of the season that matters the most. And if you've got a quality goalkeeper that can try and keep out as much goals and not concede as much, then that's also a bonus.
You
But
build from the back. Builds from the back. It instills confidence. Being a confident goalkeeper.
yeah,
What I always taught, being a confident goalkeeper will rub off onto your defenders, and your defenders will trust in you, and they will trust in your ability. Whereas a lot of I think issues last year where pass backs and stuff were they started to get nervous. But
yeah,
I think one thing I would say about Ramsdale, what him and his partner, I think it was his wife now, was going through at the time with everything. What the club did for him, I thought was great. Actually, how they supported him
yeah,
and how they took the pressure off him and it was all quiet and he chose to come out.
yeah,
I think it's great to see. I think he's another person who, and I think in Arsenal as a whole team, the confidence in each other. It's such a team spirit now. I think I see the Arsenal players together. Look at the the Community Shield win.
yeah,
They look like they all get on. Which is important in football. Look at England. England never did well previously because you've got players like Rio Ferdinand, Steven Gerrard, Carragher, Gary Neville coming out talking about when they'd eat lunch for England, they'd be in their own teams. They'd
yeah,
never want to see the other team doing well because they'd be talking about, the Chelsea boys have just won the Champions League or Man United won the league. I don't want to see them. Whereas now I think there's such a team cohesiveness coming from the international stage for every nation, and it's trickling down, and it's good because it brings a want to play for each other, play for the badge, play for the person to your left, to the right. I think at Arsenal, especially with the documentary as well. I think Arteta installed that in them. Has installed that into Arsenal Football Club, and
big,
he's a hell of a motivator.
yeah. There's a big togetherness around the club. I've never been Arteta out, but the change of Arsenal over the years has just been. Does take time. People think, oh well, look how long he's been at the club, but what he's done in that amount of time and what he's installed to the players' mentality is world class to me.
You've grown. You've grown. I
Yeah.
didn't think Arsenal. You've always been a big side, but you've grown. You look across. I go to America quite a lot, and Arsenal is always Arsenal fans.
Yeah.
I never see any City fans, which
No.
is rare. But
Yeah.
but Arsenal, it's Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, and I've converted a few into West Ham fans. But yeah, it's the want to support Arsenal, and I think your fans can be cringy at times, but I think West Ham fans can be the same. So
we do it for the badge. We support
always.
the club and that's what it's about. So hopefully West Ham have a good season, Arsenal have a good season, and it's going to be a good season. Going to be very competitive because all teams are strengthened, but it's going to be a good season. So Harry, it was very nice to have you on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's been nice talking about football, so I really appreciate it. And just let me know. I'll come back anytime. When we're probably fighting for relegation. Maybe not.
Get you on in, you can vent. You can vent.
Happily.
Definitely, Harry. No, honestly, it's been a pleasure having you. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and comment, get involved. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. And see you soon. Thank you.